All right. What is up? I don't know if anybody's going to come on tonight or if it's too late. I'm running this like a late night show and just sort of going through all of the games and recapping them today. I think it was a good opening day of basketball to start the tournament. Um, the last game that I just finished off watching, I just finished off with what was it? Nebraska and Texas A&M. That was a good game. That was a good game to finish with, I thought. I thought Nebraska Texas A&M was a good game to finish with. I don't know. I was watching a live stream to watch the game because I can't get it over here. And the stream kept on dropping out. So with like the 10 seconds left with A&M with the last shot, it fell out like once or twice. And I was like, oh no, please don't crash on me. So um, but of all the games, like I said, I'm just gonna go through them one by one. um, the first one is the South Carolina Presbyterian. So South Carolina rolled. Um, Full Wiley went off, and they just looked good. And North Carolina, that was a good game versus Michigan State. That was an 8-9 game, and I think that sets up nicely. So South Carolina, North Carolina. I mean, you'd have your money on South Carolina, obviously, but North Carolina gave them a good game. It's the second time they matched up, so that will be fun to watch. I mean, all the games lining up. I look at all the brackets, like I'm going to go through them, but they all look good for the Sunday games, in my opinion. But yeah, that so South Carolina, North Carolina, and then like I said, I just finished watching the Nebraska Texas A&M game, and Texas A&M was unlucky. Like they made their run late, but Nebraska was tough. They kept on fighting them back. Um, I thought that it was give and take both ways, but I thought Nebraska was a better team. I'm glad they didn't call the foul at the end. I just thought the Texas A&M Burl just fell down. I don't know if you thought that as well. Yeah, I agree with that. I think they just sort of yeah, they just didn't have enough, and they didn't have any collectiveness at the end of the game. So I thought the better team got through, and I am looking forward to watching Nebraska, Oregon State. Um, Again, and I've done up all the numbers on this in terms of um, SEC just for the first day. So it's early, right? But um, the SEC so far, they went 3-2 all up. The Big 10 went 2-2, the Big 12 went 3-0, and the ACC went 3-2. So really the Big 12 had the best day out of anybody, in my opinion. Yeah, I think Oregon State will I think Oregon State is good because I think Beers is healthy, and I think I think they're going to be a load. And other thing is I think they're going to get through Oregon State. So Oregon State would match up against who God, I'm using the ESPN bracket. That's not good for me. Yeah, I think if Oregon State gets through Nebraska, if it's Notre Dame, Oregon State, who would you have Oregon State if it was Oregon State, Notre Dame, or Oregon State, Ole Miss? What would you have? I would probably have. Um, I think Oregon State. I think Oregon State's pretty good. I think they can do a lot of different matchups now that Beers is back and she looks pretty good. Yeah, I got that as well. Yeah. So the next one, I didn't get to watch the Texas game, the Texas versus Drexel, but it looks like they handled them pretty easy. I didn't get to watch the Alabama Florida. I watched a little bit at the end, and Alabama got that. Yep. So um, that's another one as well. I'll probably have to eat my words on this, but I don't think I, I'm I don't know how good Texas is. I know their guard defense, perimeter defense is really, really strong, but I just think they really miss Roy Harmon, and it's hard to have a freshman point guard as good as Booker is, as good as Madison Booker is. I just I don't know. I could see Alabama surprising. I'm just not the big believer in Texas that other people are, but That's why they play it. That's why I love it. And I was sort of dishing on the Big 12, but they went 3-0 today, so they might be better than I give them credit for. So I'm interested to see how it happens, to see who is the best one. The next one was Iowa State and Maryland. I think that was the game of the day. Like by far, that was the game of the day. So just how the game went back and forth in terms of Audie Crooks. Um, y- the, yeah, it was so good. Who was it? Who was the girl? Who was her opposite number? It was Quebec. Is that right? Am I pronouncing that right? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was Audie Brooks and Quebec, I think it was, and it was sort of like a puncher versus a boxer, where Iowa State was the boxer, or really Maryland was the boxer. Like they defense and swarming, but Iowa State was sort of plotting and knew what they were doing and doing it well. And I just thought that was a great matchup, and it was really a tale of two halves. It's all cliche, I understand that, but just the way they were hitting 3 points at the end just made all the difference. And I thought that was an interesting game. I thought that was the best game. And I Audie Crooks, I did a video on her. If you've seen, that's probably one of the better videos I've done on Audie Crooks, I think. And Audie Crooks, she's just a nice kid. So I don't know, like her father died, and she talks about that in the video I did on her, and she's just such a positive kid and looks up to it. Like that's one of the ones you would have to root for, I think, Audie Crooks, because she's she talks about, she just tries hard for her pops, and she can hear her pops in her head, and she plays the trumpet as well, I think, and a singer, and she just embraces who she is. She's one of those people you'd have around you and just bring you up all the time. She just seems like a real positive girl, and I think that's really good. So I'm sort of privately rooting for her. I know if you would be a Maryland fan, you would think, man, she got away with a lot of stuff on the inside. Uh, you know, but I thought it was just a nice physical game. Um, and I think Maryland did get a bad whistle though. I will tell you that. Like there were a few times, if I was Brenda Freed, I'd be very frustrated because there were a few times where Maryland caused travels and the refs did not call it. And you can say, oh, they let it go, but if you're putting pressure defense on, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the other team to turn it over. There was one obvious travel where they missed the travel, and then Iowa State got down there, and I think they drew the foul, and the coach was just losing her mind. I was like, yeah, I feel your pain on that, because, and then at other times it just felt like Crooks was bullying him down low a bit, but it's a big give and take. I think she got a foul called on her when somebody flopped, so I don't mind. I say let them play. I'm not a big fan of the charge call, in my opinion, but I thought by far the game of the day. It was amazing. The three-pointer giveth, the three-pointer taketh away, and Quebec just could not miss, and that was amazing because she doesn't normally take three-pointers. The other thing I thought was, who was doing the halftime? Who was doing the halftime? It was, Andrea Carter and, who was it Lobo? Who was doing the halftime? I can't remember who was doing it. Um, they were great. I thought Andrea Carter and and the other one, they summed it up pretty well, saying that, hey, you got to stick to what you're doing, Iowa State, and let her shoot. Cover her a little bit, but it's not in Maryland's nature to be able to shoot that well. And it was right. They clawed it back, and you saw just fourth quarter it was going to happen. Carter said, "How do you game plan for a player that's always on the bench?" Yeah, that's 100%. But that was by far, I thought that was the game of the day. Did y'all think that was the best game or not? Because I thought that was the one. That's the one I'll remember for the rest of the time, for the first day. And then on the other side of the bracket, I thought Colorado, Kansas State, that was I didn't get to watch much of that, but uh, with Colorado beating Drake, it seemed like, yeah, I couldn't get a live stream on that game. But Colorado handled them, and I can't wait to watch Colorado, Kansas State. I think that's going to be a great matchup. That's a 5-4 at Kansas State, but I think everybody knows Colorado is really, really good. So that's going to be a really fun matchup. They just all set up so well. And then the other one is, well, LSU. I've already talked about LSU, but LSU versus Middle Tennessee, because I believe Middle Tennessee beat Tennessee this year as well. I mean, they're a strong team. I think LSU is going to come out firing all guns. I think that's just the type of team LSU is going to be. They'll take a lot of heat and then they'll just put it all together tomorrow, or when they play on Sunday. And then the other one, Baylor Vanderbilt. Yeah, Baylor. Vanderbilt gave them a run. Vanderbilt had a strong season. I just think Baylor just they've got to find some way, and this will be an interesting game because I like Kenny Brooks as a coach. I think he's a good coach, and he's made the adjustment. It's going to be hard for Baylor to beat Virginia Tech, even with Kitley out. I think it's going to be hard, but I think the pressure is going to be on for Nikki Collin to get the win. She needs this win really bad to get to the Sweet 16, I think, and she really needs this win really, really bad. And it'll be interesting to see if Virginia Tech can get the win, a player down. If that they do, that's really going to hurt Baylor bad. So I'm keen to watch that game as well. That's what I saw. I saw that on the highlights that, what's her name? Clara is she a freshman? Clara Strack? And has she gotten much or time? I see. I don't even know much about her. I've got to concede. I don't know much about her, but she was, from what I saw in the highlights, they adjusted and got her in and got her confidence up. Yeah. So yeah. See, all these games are compelling to me, which is what I love. So she's a 6'5", is she? All right. So she's a big, y- and Kitley is strong, but Kitley was always a little bit stiff, a little bit. But I mean, she's a great player, clearly. But that is a compelling game, Baylor versus Virginia Tech. You know it's going to be good because it's a 4 versus a 5. And then the last one, you've got Duke and Ohio State, which again, I missed out on my Haley Van Lith going against Louisville, but I guess we have another transfer portal grudge match here with who is it? Celeste Taylor going back and playing Ohio State, and that'll be another interesting game of Big Ten versus the ACC. Um, of the ones of all of those, though, the thing I thought was the best, like I said it before, but I definitely thought the best game was the Ohio State Maryland game. The other thing that sets up really well, and I didn't talk about it, but Iowa State versus Stanford. I want to see that. Um, yeah, I want to see Iowa State and Stanford, and I want to see Brink, and I want to see Audie Crooks go at it in the post a bit. I know that they'll put Kiki um, Arioffen on her a bit, but at some point, you think um, it's going to be a lot of Brink on her, and it's going to be a fascinating inside outside game and how they do it. If they're going to try to see if Crooks will go outside on her or what, I'm curious to see how they manage that. Yeah, I think Brink will be too mobile, but I think there will be times where Audie Crooks is going to be able to pin Brink, and I want to see it. I want to see how she responds. If she's able to hold her position or if she gets muscled down low, and I don't see Brink flopping that much. Um, so I'm curious to see what happens. Um, yeah, she did hold up well against. She did hold up get well against Aoka Lee for sure. So yeah, that's going to be a fun matchup, which I want to see. Yeah, the whole Haley Van Lith thing with the 5 turnovers. Yeah, she just, again, I don't want to seem like I've talked about Haley Van Lith at nauseum. I'm sure LSU fans are sick of hearing about it, but it just doesn't look good, and you can tell the pressure's on her because Poa's not quite right, and they need her to do more. And at times, it just looks like, oh, what are you gonna do? Because you can't. I think it's going to be another week before Poa really clears the cobwebs and really back to herself. So they'll get this win, and it looks so much better before the in the semifinal when they were playing, who was it they went down to in the semifinals of the SEC tournament? Who'd they beat? Was it Auburn? I can't remember. Was it Auburn they beat in the SEC? But that was the best LSU had looked when she and Poa were sort of in sync, and I think that's when they're playing their best basketball. And that's the question: how long is it going to take Poa to shake off the cobwebs? Was it Ole Miss? Thank you. And Ole Miss plays tomorrow. All right. So yeah, just that was the surprising one is that Rice gave LSU a game. Now for tomorrow, let's see, we've got U. Let's go down the brackets again. So tomorrow we've got Utah, Dakota State, um, Gonzaga, UC Irvine. I would assume Utah is going to get through, but Utah, a lot of times you never know what Utah is going to show up. And I could actually see Utah winning out that little weekend there, if you like. I could see Utah taking out Gonzaga, but it'll be interesting to see. But it totally depends on if their shots fall or not. The next one would be Tennessee, Green Bay, and NC State, Chattanooga. So you think that would be setting up for a Tennessee, NC State. Um, Again, I would be, yeah, I think it'll be a Tennessee, NC State, and when those two get together, that'll be intriguing because I would put my money. I I I think Tennessee's playing a lot better now. Um, let's see, let's go to the top of the other bracket over here. Um, Iowa, Holy Cross. You would think Iowa. And then once again, I want to see West Virginia, Princeton. That's probably lining up. So what time's that on? That's at 8 my time, 8:30. So West Virginia, Princeton. So don't go by my time, but yeah, I'll get up for that game because I want to see West Virginia and Princeton, and I want to see Caitlin Chen as well. I want to see how she goes. Um, and then we have Creighton, UNLV. Don't I know Creighton from the Big East, UNLV. Yeah, will be interesting, and just UCLA versus what is that, California Baptist. I'm curious to see how UCLA plays and if they line up well. You think UCLA would get through easy. Um, and then USC versus Texas A&M. Yeah, I want to see how that one. I think it'll be USC. That's a rollover in my opinion. Dude, where do you live? There's sunlight. Thought you were an American. No, I am American, but I'm in Australia. Yeah, so it's afternoon here. It's like 4 p.m. Sorry, I digress. Yeah, I went through this. If you saw the other live feed, the last 10 minutes, I talked about Australian cricket. It was awful. But yeah, that's why the sunlight's in the back here. So I'm not in Hawaii. Let's see. Where do we got now? So we said USC, Texas A&M. Not, yeah, that shouldn't be a great game. Kansas, Michigan will be good. That'll be another one. What time is that? That's like 5 a.m. Get up to see that. Syracuse, Arizona. Her Hoops has that one is an upset special. I think Syracuse has lost a few games coming in. I think they've lost the last three. Arizona, yeah, don't sit on Arizona. So I think Arizona will get the upset in that one. That's who I'd have. And then obviously we have UConn and Jackson State. Oh my God, that's at 4 a.m. I'm gonna have to get up at 4 a.m. to watch that game. Okay, that's fine. But and UConn should have that. Jackson State has some players though. I did a video on it. God, I've already forgotten their names, but I think they have. Is it Angel Jackson? I think this is their big, and the other one, what is it? Yeah. So I think the games today were probably a little bit more compelling than they are tomorrow. But I do want to watch this. I want to see what UConn looks like for sure, and I want to see who goes through Arizona or Syracuse, and I think it's going to be Arizona. So let me read some of the comments here. Um, Brings too mobile for Crooks. Yeah, potentially, but like I said, I think Crooks will win some as well. And let's see, I'll miss. And then Teddy, what's up, man? LO, how you doing? Thought I'd stop by. Yeah, Teddy 80. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I don't do many live streams. I just wanted to talk about the games afterwards and think it was just going to be like a talkback radio a little bit. I don't know if I'll keep this video up after I finish or not, but and it's I I felt like I watched the games. I wanted to talk about them before I did a video on it. Like I said, I did the. I'm curious, who do y'all have as being the best, strongest conference? Yeah, Rice. That's right. She was big. Number 35 on Rice. Yeah, she was doing well on Reese. She was a big girl and she could hold her ground. She had that Audie Crooks type game. And then they had a girl on the bench when she got in foul trouble. They took somebody. Was it Sussy? I can't remember what her nut, but she was like 6'4". Yeah, Sussy was big. So I just thought, man, they were good. But yeah, who do y'all have as the best conference? So you have SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. Because I've been crushing the Big 12. Well, not crushing, but I thought the Big 12. I thought they would be done early, and they still might be, but they delivered today. So in the head-to-heads, let's see, what are the head-to-heads? Michigan State took out. Well, Michigan State lost to no Big 12. I'm sorry, Big 12. So Baylor got the win over Vanderbilt, which was a 5 beating a 12. So that's not a big deal. And then when was the other one? Iowa State versus Maryland, and I mean Maryland was unlucky. So, and then as you're quite right, Texas A&M gave that game away. Like Texas A&M could have been in that game, but I thought the Big 12 had a big day. They obviously did because they went 3-0 in their games. SEC was 3-2. What were their losses? So in the head-to-heads, let's see, Florida State, Alabama, and that was a pretty good game. That I didn't watch that game. It looked pretty close. Could that have gone either way? Now, what was your comment on the LSU? What was your comment on the LSU, Teddy? Just briefly. And then where else did they win? And then Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M was just unlucky. And then the ACC, they went 3-2. I might pull up some of the comments actually from my channel. Let me Let's take a look at some of the comments here. God. Let's see. LSU not going far. Chemistry stinks, and HVL can't play. D can't protect the ball. Can't distribute the ball. The love for HVL. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean HVL is going to take it. Let's see. This is on the one yet again. So thankful that Haley Van Liz overrated LSU instead of Iowa. They paid a fortune for her, and what did they get? Bad chemistry, no point guard skills, 7 points, 5 turnovers. Ferrari money for a broken Yogo. God. Let's see. Oh, here's your comment, Teddy. What's up, man? I agree pretty much with most on the video, except the point about Michaela Williams. LSU playing without her is misleading. Falage's good shooting games, offensively challenged. Honestly, Scott Grayson pretty much Auburn has consistently. She doesn't play well. Ole Miss, a couple of players. Oh, this goes on and on. LSU. Well, my thing about Michaela Williams is I don't think she's been as good in the second half. I think the high school players tire out a little bit. I think since I did the numbers since the South Carolina game, like her shooting percentage has gone down. She hasn't quite been the same as she was. Yeah. And we can agree to disagree, Teddy, on Michaela Williams. I think she'd be better off the bench, which makes me a hypocrite because I was the one arguing for Full Wiley to start. So why I'd want to move Michaela Williams to the bench, you can call me out on that. So that's very inconsistent on my part. But I just thought they looked better with Poa and HVL in the starting lineup together, and then bringing Michaela on as instant offense. I thought that was the way to go. But yeah, it's apples and oranges. I don't know if that's the right use of apple and oranges. I always seem to screw that up. I think Michaela needs better conditioning. She looks, yeah, and that's a dangerous game. You can get away with that, but I can't. I'm not going to comment on their physiques at all. No way. I saw what happened to Kurt Miller when he talked about Liz Cambage's weight. Yeah, I just don't Teddy, I don't think you can put Flau'jae on the bench. Like, she's the best player they have out there. You want her confidence going. So, I think it has to be Michaela, in my opinion, you know, but yeah, you're probably right. I think Mulkey probably needs to stroke Michaela and say, "Hey, you're our girl. We're not gonna," and that would probably destroy her confidence as well, which is the other reason you wouldn't want to bench Michaela. So it's probably I can see it either way, to be quite honest with you. What is this? Whatever reason, Dawn Bent's Chloe Kitts, she balled out today for 21. Yeah, I think Kitts is the difference maker for South Carolina. I think that's what makes them a different team this year because Kitts has that outside game, and I think it's better that they have Watkins coming. What is it? Watkins coming off the bench, and then with Tahina Pow, it just gives them that outside game. I know Kitts drives me crazy at times because it seems like she's always a little bit off balance and fumbly at times. But when she's on, she makes them a different team because she can sort of get her points at the high post, in my opinion. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's yeah. Flage didn't pull it out, and Mulkey was pissed. Mulkey was pissed that she didn't pull the ball out and get the one. I mean, that's Mulkey's point guard skills coming out and just saying, "Come on, we wanted that," and gave them an extra possession. That's just not smart basketball. I think that's what's driving her crazy, and that's the problem with LSU. They don't have that true point guard that's going to say, "Give me the ball, get the hell out of the way. I'm setting up the offense. We're going to do it like this." That's the reason with them. Yeah, Chloe Kitts is yeah, she's good. Let's see other comments. LSU barely won. Rice gave them a run. Yeah, that's don't have any comments on that. Paige is Penny Hardaway. Juju Carmelo Anthony. Juju Carmelo Anthony. Oh my God. Oh, and I thought I was giving shade to Juju by calling her James Harden. No, I think Juju. I'll give her James Harden, but I won't give her Carmelo Anthony. I still stand by Juju being Kobe. Like that's what I have for her. We'll see about Juju next year. Actually, we'll see about Juju next year when she has better players around her. I think I'm curious to see how USC develops that class. And I like Gottlieb. I just wonder if they're going to move the ball more next year. Well, other teams figured it out with their stars. Juju, Hannah entered the Texas team. LSU still haven't figured it out, even after the kids. Yeah, but I yeah, they really haven't. They haven't figured it out well enough, that's for sure. Like, but that's the thing, Teddy. You think they have figured it out. Like in that second half, was it second half versus Auburn where they were down, they came out the second half and they looked good, but they still, in my opinion, they got burned in this game once on pick and roll. They still haven't figured out pick and roll defense. They still have mistakes on that and they still leave the three-point shooters open. Like I don't think they attack the three-point line very well, which is surprising. I thought they would be better at that now, and they'll have a game, Teddy, where you think, man, these guys have figured it out, and then they don't. It's like, what is going on with you guys? HVL is not a point guard, cannot play defense to save her life, blah blah blah. Yes, everybody feels the same way. Um, what is it? HVL is not a point guard. Yeah, turnovers were an issue in my opinion. They lost the game by 24 turnovers. Guess they underestimated Bryce. Yes, they did. And 24 turnovers is way too many. Angel's head wasn't in it, but it doesn't have to be perfect or pretty, just good enough to win. I thought Angel was good. She didn't have her A game, but she did what she needed to do to get them across the line. So I have no poison for Angel Reese. I thought she did well. She had a she you're not always going to have your A game out there. I said something on there about how I thought Falage and Samaya Smith added to their game. Somebody commented and thought, well, Reese is better because she's guarding bigger players. I'm like, yeah, Reese has improved just with experience and stuff like that, but I don't think she's added something to her game. I still think she's a heck of a player, though. Let's see, just rusty from being off, and then comments below. Nope, not rusty. Rice was too small. Um, doesn't make any sense. Your comment. Okay. I'd like to thank oh, here's a comment. I'd like to thank you for last night's lucid dream. Someone was telling me that I sounded like Steve Nash, but made sure I also told them I don't play like him. Your comparisons are spot on. Would consider rerunning this group of college all-stars, comparing them with NBA players, past and present. Yeah, that video was interesting. Some people liked that video, some people hated it. Reese should have went to Utah, her shot would have improved by now. Hey, I'm all in for the Reese going to Utah thing. I got crushed on that. But yeah, I if I was a if I was a four, if I was any four out of college, my God, if I was Sarah Strong, I'd go to Utah because you're going to develop the most important thing at Utah. What you need to do is your shot. You're going to be allowed to shoot as much as you want. And Sarah Strong could go to Utah and just say, I'm going to shoot as much as I want. And Lynn Roberts would be up for that. And you would dominate and improve your game. So there you go. I'll get crushed on that. But I'm a big fan of Utah. And I think Anissa Morrow should have gone to Utah, like I said. Everybody will laugh at me and scoff in the comments. But the thing that Anissa Morrow needs is she's an undersized four and she needs to shoot. Like she took one 3-pointer in this game and missed it. And she needs to be shooting like what she was doing at DePaul. She should have either gone to a school where she could shoot a lot of 3-pointers or go stay at DePaul where Bruno had to let her shoot. That was the way for her to go, in my opinion. Let's see. Yeah, but there's no way Anissa Mara is going to Utah, and people are going to crush me for saying that. But let's see, what do we have here? Call me pessimistic, UConn fan, whatever. However, don't feel their draw is particularly easy, especially with the team like Notre Dame. I don't. I think Utah's draw was really good. I think not Utah, UConn's draw. Sorry, UConn's draw. Somebody's saying they don't think their draw is good. I think their draw is okay. Like they, I think they scored with it. Like I don't know if they'll get through or not. I think it's a good matchup with them having Ohio State. I think they'll feel like they can match up better because they have more guards to take them on. Yeah, Angel is I mean, that's the thing, and people will say, I'll point out Angel shot and things like that, but it's like, come on, like, it you need a mid-range game, and that's why people when I was talking about potentially Aaliyah Edwards being drafted in front of Angel Reese, and that's why, like, she has more confidence in her mid-range game, so that's why she's I think, more draftable than Angel Reese. I mean, Angel Reese has that one thing, but you're drafting Angel Reese on the potential that she will improve her outside shot. If she does, my God, what a player. But until then, it's not gonna when she goes against better, faster athletes in the WNBA, she's gonna struggle because she's not gonna be able to bully them inside like she bullies college players, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. Let's see more comments here. Uh, Not to mention a negative comment, but Amari should finish her degree at UConn, but not take up a roster spot. Oh, this is about Amari DeBerry because I don't know if you've seen, but Amari DeBerry has concussion and she's out for the rest of the tournament. And UConn fans, Amari DeBerry just drives them crazy because they need a big. And you look on the bench and you see Amari DeBerry that's like 6'5". And you're like, why can't you be the player we want you to be? Which I understand that, but it's not her fault. Asia versus Reese would be a slice. Asia versus Reese, come on. I mean, that would not be that would not be pleasant for Angel Reese, I don't think. I mean, Asia has it all and she's got that woman strength now. She's been in there a few years and so much stronger than her. Yeah, in terms of LSU, I mean, we're crushing them. It's like when your football team loses or doesn't get the win like they should, and all the fans are losing their mind. But it really depends on what they do in the next few games. If LSU all of a sudden comes together, which could happen, so the next game, Poa could clear the cobwebs and they start playing better and start gelling. And if they come together, then fine. And you'll look at this as a testing moment. The team came together and they were playing ugly, but they still have the win. I mean, we just play the narrative. Yeah, Teddy, I think it's probably unlikely, but you don't know. I mean, they have so much talent. Again, I look at them on paper. They have so much talent. And I've seen slivers where they play really, really well. And it's like, can they be Habits are made. Yeah, I agree with you, Teddy. The habits are made during the season. I would agree with that. You are what you are by the time, and that's funny. It just reminds me of UConn last year when they got done by Ohio State, and Gino's like, we picked the worst time to have our worst game. And it's like, nah, Gino, you were doing that in January. Y'all were turning over the ball. Nico was making bad turnovers, and this is who you are. So Mulkey did look really concerned on the bench. I agree with that as well. She was just shaking her head, going, we're doing this again, and we can't hold on to the ball. I thought we'd fix this, and it's not fixed. And what are we gonna do?" And the thing is, she's dug her own grave because it's not like, oh, I can throw Janae Kent in there and say, hey, Janae, let's go bail us out here. You figure this out for us, Janae, because she hasn't played Janae Kent all year, so you can't she can't go to anybody on the bench because she hasn't played them enough. The only time she's played them is in garbage time, so it's not really fair to them to say, Janae Kent, now's your time. You bail us out of this mess. So and it's so hard. And one thing Mulkey has said in her press conference and everything else, we can score the basketball. We can score the basketball. It's all about our defense. We can score the basketball. But at times they look stinky on defense. If they don't have transition and they're just limited to a half court game, it is hard because they force the ball into Reese. And at times, if Michaela Williams is having a good game, then they're good. But Michaela Williams is not consistent right now. And then if your point guard is HVL or Poa trying to bring it up, it just makes it really, really difficult, because that offense doesn't work in the half court if they're having to go half court. And that was why I was giving Edmonds, the coach of Rice, flowers. Is you could tell their game plan was basically, all right, if LSU gets a rebound, foul them in the backcourt. Like, don't make it obvious, but foul them in the backcourt, slow it down, and let us set up and get them into a half court game. And that's what they did. That's why it was a good game plan by them. Let's see, what do we have here? No one sells out for the team, but Poa with her play on the court, Michaela Williams by coming there. Yeah, doesn't work because they look for Angel too much, and they need to have Michaela be the playmaker. Yeah, I mean, when when Angel Reese gets irritated, when there are too many turnovers, Angel Reese gets into this thing of I'm going to bring the ball up, and it's like it's not going to do LSU any good in most cases, Angel, because um, they need you down on the block, killing teams on the boards. And when you bring it up, it's just the other team's like, oh, good. We have Angel Reese bringing it up. It's perfect for us because we don't have to worry about her shooting from outside. So it's not like that. We can just play off her and see what she does. But we're not worried about her banging us down low and killing us down in the post. So I think they're happy to do that. And then Mulkey let her get away with that. Who was it? Was it the Auburn game where she brought it up at the last 20 seconds? Was it Auburn or was it which one was it? Or was it Alabama? I can't remember. Auburn, Alabama. And I did a video. I was like, why would you run ISO? Why would you let Angel Reese do that? And Mulkey was essentially, well, she's my best player. Nothing else had worked the whole damn game. And I thought, why not? And I get that, but it was Auburn. Okay, thanks. But if you saw in that game, I put a clip of it as well. And at the end of the second quarter, I think it was, same scenario. And they had Michaela bring it up, and Michaela dribbled down the clock and then took the girl to the basket and gave a beautiful dish. I believe it was to Morrow. And that was the play, in my opinion. But I know by that second half, Morrow was playing, or not Morrow, but Williams had a few turnovers and lost her confidence. But and that's probably why they didn't go back to it. But that was the play in the end of that game, not to look back, but that's what I felt at the time. Let's see. As much as people get mad at Alexis Morris, she did have a point about not having someone to take the lead. Uh, yeah, I agree with that. I would. Well, here's the thing, Teddy. I one thing I agree with is I think Texas made Madison Booker a better player once Roy Harmon went out. And basically Vic was like, "We got nobody else. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn Madison Booker. Either you're going to get better or we're going to go in the toilet. Here you go. You do what you do. And if you turn it over, you're not looking over your shoulder and me being angry. You're just learning the position. And it's sometimes I don't think Michaela Williams and I don't think any of their point guards have the ability to do that because I think they play scared a lot of times because Mulkey being a point guard herself, she is hard on point guards. Like she just loses her mind. You see her lose her mind on the sidelines when they make a mistake. And straight away, Haley Van Lith will make a mistake. She'll be jumping up and down, and you'll see her run in Poa, or Poa will do something silly, and straight away she'll run in Hatriel or Janae Kent, and it's just like it reminds me of God. I'm going to date myself, but it reminds me of Steve Spurrier, who was, when he was at Florida, he would just kill quarterbacks, and he would just get so frustrated with him. You'd see the cap go off and he'd bring the other quarterback in. He was still an offensive genius. But that's the thing. It just kills you to try to, if you're constantly undermining your guy who's running the point, it makes it impossible, in my opinion. So you've got to sort of figure out who your person is, back them a little bit. And I think that's what she's trying to do with Haley Van Lith. But then she's like, no, it's not going to work. We'll do this combo Poa Haley Van Lith thing. But then she had to pull, it got ruined for them with the concussion. And they're hoping to rebuild that where they sort of share the duties and look as good as they can look, in my opinion. But it could just be a blip and they come together. But I do agree with Teddy saying that that the you are who your records are. Hey, Spencer. So what do you say? Some of the fouls on Rice were questionable. You saying that she got bad calls on her? Is that what you're saying, Spencer? Because that's what I thought. I thought the one where Rice fouled out on, like the angle probably wasn't good. I think she clipped it a little bit, but I was like, wow, is that your fifth foul? That's not looking real great. But I didn't feel too bad for Rice because I felt like they were. Um, I felt so. Who got their fifth in the seventh minute? Who was that? Was that Fisher? And then I thought she clipped her a little bit, but I thought Rice. Yeah, I didn't think she got Morrow very good on that shot. But at the same time, I thought they sort of got what they deserve because I think it was part of their game plan that we're going to reach in after rebounds and try to slow it down. And you only have so many fouls, and that's where you pay for it. Is if you're constantly trying to slow them down. But man, there was a big discrepancy on free throws. Yeah, she should have saw that pass. Yeah, I don't know how was that Falaje Johnson that threw that pass, Spencer? I think it was. I don't know how that pass got through her, and it did, and then she turned, and it was just like a little bump on her, and it was just like, oh man, come on. Reese doesn't trust. She trusts Poa more. That's why offense flows better with her in. I think so. I think the offense flows better when Poa and Haley Van Lith are running it together. They sort of alternate a little bit, but Haley's more in that off guard role. It gives them one more shooter out there, and it's like a three guard rotation. I think that's fine. Um, yeah, it was. I mean, you could make that argument with Falage that she's too ISO. Um, yeah, I agree with that. I think they get a bit ISO-y at time when Johnson's out there. Johnson wants to get her points. She wants to be aggressive and do her thing. I don't think it's anything malicious at times, but Johnson gets the ball. She's either doing one or two things. Like she's more than not either going to take the shot or she's going to attack the basket. Uh, yeah, I think UNC in South Carolina is going to be a good matchup. I agree with that. I think that's going to be. It has the potential to be a close game. I like it that it's their second matchup, and I want to see how those two go at it. It'll be a tough for um, North Carolina because they're at home, uh, or they're on the road, and South Carolina's at home. Hard to play in that place. They haven't lost there in forever, but man, that will be a fun matchup. And then who's the North Carolina coach? I'll butcher her name. It's Courtney Banghart. Did I get that right? Is it Courtney Banghart? But I think she's a good coach. She coached at Princeton. She does well, and I think that could be an interesting game. I want to see how they play out. And I wonder if that influences decisions of where Sarah Strong goes. I wonder if Sarah Strong's watching the tournament or already knows where she goes. I got a comment in one of the comment sessions. One of my guys told me, I've got a cousin on the coaching staff for UConn, and they say that Sarah's it's a done deal. Sarah's going to UConn. She's already told them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, it's a done deal. My cousin Vinny's told me that Sarah Strong's going there, so it must be a done deal. Uh, Theo B, what's up, man? Love your videos. Ah, thanks for that. I think that's probably better than my live streams. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with these live streams or not. I feel like I'm just rambling, which is probably the case. So rip the live streams and tell me to stop if you hate them. But I just feel like talking after. I want to talk about the games after I see them. Let's see. Man, please, South Carolina walking to the Final Four. They're walking to the Final Four. I don't know, Teddy. I don't know. They've been in some close games, man. They've been in some close games. I don't know about walking to the Final Four. I want to see them. Who's in their bracket again? Damn, I had it up before. Let's see. Forecasting South Carolina. The walk to the Final Four. All right. Um, well, yeah, actually, you're probably right, Teddy. You were probably right with that bracket. Because let's see, it'll be between Oklahoma, probably Indiana. Yeah, they'll walk over that. I think North Carolina is going to be a harder game than when they get in the Sweet 16. I think that'll be a harder game for them. What do you think? Do you think the game tomorrow for South Carolina will be South Carolina, North Carolina at South Carolina? Do you think that's a harder game, or do you think being in Albany, potentially playing Indiana or Oklahoma, is that a harder matchup for them? What's their glaring weakness, Teddy? What do you tell? Like, I don't see the glaring weakness for South Carolina. The only one I see is if you get them in the half court game and if Tahina Paopao is not shooting and Chloe Kitts isn't shooting. But other than that, they've got suffocating defense. Your best chances for South Carolina, the Kryptonites, get them in a half court and hope like heck that they turn over the ball a lot. That's my thought. But yeah, I think North Carolina is yeah, and that's the other one, Theo B. Any team that can shoot the lights out. So if you go crazy like a Caitlin Clark or somebody that does the math on it, like I think a good. I said I thought Utah had a chance to take South Carolina before what is it? Neepkins did her foot injury, and before Neepkins did her foot injury, but and they gave him a tight game because she kept on taking out Cardoso, and it was a good game, Utah South Carolina. And if they would have had Neepkins, I think they might have won that. And that's the way you do it. You do a math equation, say, yeah, we'll outshoot you. But Teddy, they can shoot now. I've seen the Iowa game, but they didn't have the shooters they have now. Like Tahina Paopao cures that problem. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the tournament, like they're this season. I think they're shooting at like 35% or something. They're in the top 5 of 3-point percentage. So they've figured out their hole, which is they got Tahina Paopao that can shoot 3-pointers, and Raven's shooting better now as well. So Oregon State, maybe. Is Oregon State in that bracket? Let's see. Yeah, okay. Oregon State. Yeah, I could see Oregon State. Um, I don't know if Oregon State has enough size. Like Beers would battle well. Um, Beers and Cordoso. I'd love to see that. Wow. I'd love to see Beers and Cordoso go at it. That would be a heck of a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm here for an Oregon State South Carolina matchup. And then they've got Perova as well, who can give teams a lot of trouble. Uh, expose South Carolina, and those weaknesses are still evident to me. Again, I think they've fixed it if Pal's going well. You know, I think if Tina Paopao is a little bit up and down. Like she can have, but and she can have her off game. That's where I think they're vulnerable. If she has an off game, like you knew UConn's goose was cooked when I think the first game they play, like the first possession, like they did a pick and roll to get Tahina Paopao going, and she buried it. It's like, ooh, UConn, you're in for a long day. Tahina Paopao is hitting your outside shots. It's like, what do you do? Because then you have to put somebody on her, and they can do that, and then they can throw inside to Cardoso. It's just ugly. So let's see. Probably will be a cakewalk, yeah. But I would like to see Oregon State potentially. Um, I'm not a big believer in Notre Dame. I love Hidalgo, but I think if Notre Dame goes against Oregon State, I would take Oregon State in that match. I'd love to see it. I could be wrong because Hidalgo is so electric. That would be a fantastic game. And as well, I'm probably overlooking Ole Miss. Ole Miss could take out either one of those because they're SEC, they're tough, they're gritty, and stuff like that. So to be determined. So I'm not dismissing anybody. All right, this will get used against me. Breeze will eat up Camilla. I'm an SC fan. They have to double her. Yeah, I'm a big fan of beers. Yeah, I'm a big fan of beers. Let's see. Reese is 6'5" and 6'7" on the bench. Yeah, they've got size. I love their coach. I like Ruick. Is it Scott Ruick is the coach? And yeah, I love the game that he calls. And the thing with Oregon State is, even when they are out of a game with Scott Ruick, it, he re- now I know they've lost games and things like that, but he has that Bill Belichick thing where like he sort of gets his team back into the game. Like Oregon's like a cockroach. You can't kill them. Even when you're on top of them, they always seem to work their way back into a game. So yeah, I'd love to see Oregon State. Tell you what, when they lose, I'll tell you what those weaknesses are, but Iowa did both of them. Yes, they did, Teddy. I mean, you might have the last laugh, but if Tahina Pow's shooting, man, she can shoot the ball. She can shoot it, and that was their weakness. They did not have. I'm telling you what, Teddy. Here's what I'm telling you. If they would have had Tahina Pow last year, and Don was willing to play her, they would have a ring on their finger. What happened last year? Because think about it. Even with their 3-point disadvantage, they barely lost to Iowa last year. That's the thing. So Notre Dame had a solid big. They'd be a scary team. And who do they have going in? I want to see. Is it Kovic? Who they have? They got the freshman. Is it Covell? I'm butchering her name. Covell. But yeah, she might be the big that they need for Notre Dame and give Hannah Hidalgo somebody to work with. The thing with Hannah Hidalgo, I wonder if Notre Dame's going to regress next year or not because they've kept the ball and the ball has been in their hands all year. Miles will be back, and who's going to be have the ball? Are they going to give it back to Miles again and give the possession back to her? Because I don't see how you have Miles play off the ball. Like she can't shoot very well. So Miles has to have the ball in her hand. And I saw when who was it who they playing the final not in the final of the ACC tournament. They were playing North Carolina State. They had Hidalgo off the ball a bit, and she did all right because her shot's so good. Like she's such a good player. But I'm curious to see the Notre Dame experience next year and how they run that. I mean, Ivy's a good coach, so she'll figure it out. But that will be interesting. Her, let's see, Spencer Tessa Johnson can shoot. Yeah, she can. I like Tessa Johnson. I gave her some flowers. I had somebody comment on me. Hey, I thought Rakia Jackson beat her up on defense. And I didn't do anything. I never replied to the guy, but I went at the video again. I looked at the video. I broke down everything Tessa Johnson did. Rakia Jackson didn't like. There was one time where Rakia Jackson pinned her down. Tessa Johnson. There was one time where it looked bad, but other than that, the points did not come off her. There was one in transition they got, but otherwise the points came off. I think it was off Raven, and at times, who's the forward? God, um, who's the forward? Who's the small forward for South Carolina? Somebody help me here. I've lost the name. God, I'm old. God. Was it Hall? Bree Hall? Yeah, I think it was Bree Hall. Yeah, the points came off Bree Hall. So, man, well, that's the thing. I mean, Miles won't transfer. I'm going all over the place just getting these messages. These messages are great. Um, if Tahina's would be good, but yeah, just finish on Tessa Johnson. I love Tessa Johnson. I think it's smart that Staley is getting her in there. I think she has a good game, and I think she brings the one thing that South Carolina doesn't have. Teddy, that's where I think their problem is if they go against a Tennessee or somebody with a big guard, like how tall is Talia Van Alhoff? God, I can't say her last name. Talia Van Alhoffen. Did I get that right? Talia Van Alhoffen. God, how tall is she? Is she over 6 foot? But I think that's the vulnerability for South Carolina. A big guard like Juju or somebody like that working them and getting them into a nice slow half court game, and then somebody big like Juju or Rikia Jackson just working them for points. And I think Tessa Johnson is the anti venom for that, if you like. That's the way, and that's why I think Don Staley's giving her more time. Is like, okay, if they have a big guard, I need options to try to slow them down. And Full Wiley, Raven, and everybody, they're too small. They're all about 5'10". Let's get a big guard in there, and I think that's why they're doing it. What's the USA? You saved them last year against Iowa. Let's see. Let's see. Theo Miles transfer. I don't think it'll happen. Like, I don't think Miles will transfer this year. I think they'll go back, and then I think Miles is going to lose the ball because I don't see how you take the ball out of Olivia Hidalgo's hands and give it back to Olivia Miles. Because Hidalgo, I thought I didn't put it in my last video because I didn't want to piss off UConn, but I thought Hidalgo should have been first team. I thought, and but it's a line ball argument on that. Like between first team, Beckers was first team and Hidalgo was second team. I thought Hidalgo, they played head to head, and she was the best one on the court. And UConn fan will come at me and say, "Well, we're making Paige Beckers play, power forward," which is true. And as well, it's hard for me to go at Paige Beckers because her efficient field goal percentage is like 60%, so she's ridiculously good. So to take shots at Paige Beckers isn't really fair, especially after my calling her selfish video by not being selfish. I thought UConn fans would lose their mind if I did a video saying how she should be second team and Hannah should be first team. But I do think Hannah Hidalgo was extremely unlucky not to be on the first team because she put up more points and she is a menace on defense. She is Chris Paul, like I said, she's Chris Paul, and she has a little bit of God, I should have titled that video. Should The best video I've ever done is I compared Marina Mavery to Pat Beverly. It was like, is Marina Mavery the Pat Beverly of the WNBA? And that video got so many views. It's so badly put together. It's one of the first videos I did, and it's basically because of the title. And God, everybody hates Pat Beverly. It was so good, that video. They're just like, Pat Beverly sucks, or oh, you're disrespecting Pat Beverly. Like there was a lot of hate for Pat Beverly, but she is that type. She's not annoying like Pat, but she's always in your grill, knocking things around. She has that Chris Paul thing to her. Love Hidalgo. Okay, Talia is 5'11". I thought, yeah, so that should be all right for South Carolina. Dawn's done what Mulkey hasn't developed. No, I don't agree with that, Spencer. I don't think she has so much talent there, and she wants to keep them happy. She's playing them all like 20 minutes and stuff. It's just hard to do it when you have a team of all stars. That's the nightmare. That's when sometimes you're better just having 7 good players, like a solid rotation. Um, Clearly every team is beatable. That's why playing the game isn't just on paper. 100%. Yep, you got to play it, put the ball up. Yep, nice cliche. One team did South Carolina, called weakness. Okay, we're going on about South Carolina. Hidalgo is a star. How Miles reacts to losing her team. Not a yeah. I feel for Miles because she was the star. It was painful for me watching her on the bench at times because you just see it in her eyes. And I was it as well. The other thing with her, like, the whole knee issue was funny. The way they were hiding that it was an ACL and that she's gonna be out for the year. I don't know if they were doing that for NIL or what, but it was so obvious it's ACL. Why were they hiding it? There was no way she was gonna play this year. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's tough when you're injured and somebody comes in and she's better than you. I mean, that's just got to be devastating. And I'm not taking a shot like laughing at it. That's just got to be soul crushing to an extent. And by all accounts, she's a good team player. But the problem is the puzzle doesn't fit unless they can move Hidalgo to the off guard. And she has a shot, but Olivia Miles isn't an off guard unless she's really been working on her shot. So that's what I want to see. Bree Hall is so clutch for them. She's the best 3-level scorer South Carolina. She can, but she goes on and off. Like when I go to Captain Wills, I like listening to his chat at times. She can be up and down, and some of the fans in there just kill her a bit. But she's their best defender because she's over 6 foot, and that's why they need her in there. She can hit that clutch shot. She's willing to take it. Paige, Bucket struggles with faster guards. They do, but they would come back at you and say, well, she's guarding the power forward. It's not her thing. But boy, they struggled guarding the pick and roll. That's for sure. And I guess that's the worry for them when they go Syracuse, the winner of Syracuse. And who's the other one? Syracuse and uh, what is it? God, I've already forgotten. God, I just can't remember anything. Syracuse and Arizona. Who's the point guard for Arizona? Somebody help me here. Is it Jada Richards? No, is that who's going to LSU? They've got the freshman point guard. She's not as good as Hidalgo and the other ones, but she's strong, and that's the nightmare scenario for UConn. Is that they have another pick and roll situation like Notre Dame, and you talk about LSU having flashbacks. That would Jada Williams. Thank you, dude. Uh, so Jada Williams, or who's the Syracuse point guard? Both of them can play, and that's like the flashback nightmare for UConn is they get off and do pick and roll and they can't control it. And oh my God, here we go. That would be their nightmare scenario. Um, and that would be a flashback situation. And you're right, because when they played Notre Dame UConn, they could not guard that pick and roll. And then once Nika Mule got that fifth foul, which was ridiculous. And that's yeah, Nika Mule, man. She can get you in trouble. She can throw the bad turnover, get in foul trouble, and do silly fouls at times. And they really need her on there. But you think KK could handle them and be better on defense. So to be determined. Yeah, Deasia Fair. Yeah, she's good as well. So either way, and I think who was it? Daniel Conley pointed it out in his thing. Daniel Conley pointed it out in um, his article. Like the point guard has been a struggle for UConn. The quick point guard has been an issue, and I think some of that a little bit is you know God help UConn if Aaliyah Edwards gets in foul trouble, because I know they're all like, "Oh my God, Ice Brady's figured it out, and here we go." And she did well because she had to play the whole time, and I think that was great for her confidence. But we'll see when the lights come on for the tournament, and all of a sudden, has she figured it out in the last Big East tournament, and here we go, and you have a dependable backup in Ice Brady, or are they doomed if Aaliyah Edwards gets in foul trouble? That would be my question if I'm a Notre Dame, if I'm a UConn fan, and that thing has been that worries me with UConn is like, oof, what do we do? And will almost like Teddy said, you are what you are in the season. And that loss to Notre Dame was a bad loss for UConn, because they came into their building and gave them a that was the worst loss of their season in my opinion, because you thought, okay, we've rebuilt ourselves, we're getting better, this is where we are, and they came into your building, gave you a beat down with your full team basically. And that's the concern. So that it'll be interesting to see. Again, I think Her Hoop says that they believe Arizona is good upset potential on Syracuse. I haven't really watched. I've watched a little bit of Arizona when they got the upset on Utah. Utah was unlucky on that game. I don't know if you watched Arizona Utah when they got the win. It was bad, man. I thought Utah got screwed in that game. Ooh, I don't know if I swore. Arizona, the ref called an over the back call, and the other ref called a jump ball. Would have been Utah's ball, but another ref came in from like the back and said, no, no, it was over the back, and it was a 50-50 ball. So anyway, it's just a flashback into my mind. Syracuse is tough. UConn should hope for Arizona. Okay, yeah, I'll go for that. Hidalgo gave them yeah, Hidalgo, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I think Hidalgo was unlucky not to win the that's why I thought Hidalgo should have been first team, because they played head to head. If that was a Heisman thing, if you're playing head to head, you go with the team that wins in the head to head. That's my way of thinking about it. But again, reputation, and it's hard to take shots at Paige Beckers because she's so efficient. I'm not going to rip on a player that goes for. Well, I guess I did in calling her selfish because she's so unselfish. I love that video. I know others hated it. UConn hated it. You're selfish because you're unselfish. I love that. I love the premise of that. And Juju's not selfish because she is selfish. I still think that's a brilliant video. Others hated it, but that's the that's the question of it. It's hard to beat up on Paige Beckers because she's so efficient. She does the right play. You put a great team around her, and she is good, and that's why you want her on her team. I feel bad for her because she was sold a bill of goods. We're gonna have all these players. You're gonna be the conductor running it, and everybody's just gotten injured around her. So Dawn said Paige never takes bad shots. It's true, very efficient. Absolutely. That's why you want her in an all-star team. Like Paige at South Carolina. That would be fun to watch. I'd love to see Paige at South Carolina and what she would do with that talent. She would just give them that magic elixir. Like sticking her on different teams would be really fun. I'd love to be able to do daily trades and say, what if we put this player here? I'd love to put Paige on UCLA as well and see what she would do with UCLA. Don said Page. Man, I really hope we get to see USC in the Final Four. Me too. Me too. And you know what, Theo? I think they are the most best value for money. When I did that video, I think who did I say? Somebody was paying 35. Who was that? Who was paying 35? I can't remember. Um, it wasn't UConn. Who was paying 3.5? Because I said they were good value. Um, was that UCLA? They went down, I think, but the best value for money was USC because I think USC is paying 5,000 to I put 100 down plus 4,000 on USC. Is that right? I thought they were paying like plus five. Sorry to digress into betting talk, but I thought they were paying plus 5,000 on sports bet. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy with that because they'll just pick and roll. Let's see. Kansas, Michigan, the winner of that's winnable. And then, yeah, Baylor, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's injured. Yeah, it's set up that way. And then on the bottom one, it'll be Ohio State or UConn, and they've already taken out Ohio State. That's why I'm so hard on Ohio State. I can't get that initial opening season loss. I know it was the first game of the year out of my mind, but they were so they drubbed them. They got them in transition. They just exposed that press, and Juju was just like all day long, keep on pressing me. Yeah, let's do this, and I'm just gonna kill you in the mid-range game. It was a They opened up a can on Ohio State. So yeah, hold on to that ticket, Theo. Hold on to that ticket for sure. All right, I'm gonna wrap up. I've already gone an hour. I can't believe that. I don't know if anybody will watch this, but I enjoyed doing it and just getting all the basketball off my chest. Um, yeah, I overall summation of thoughts. It was a great opening day of the tournament. Like I thought it was great. Rice giving LSU a game was fantastic, and just the other ones, all the games that you would expect to be good, like the fives playing the sixes and things like that. Oh, thanks for that. That it was all good in my opinion, and it just shows you how good the women's game is going, and I think it's great. So anyway, yeah, love chatting to y'all. It was good. I think there were only like 16 people on this, but I had fun doing it, just talking about basketball. So take care of yourselves. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.